Morning to one and all, and thank you for being here today. Okay, so basically, let me recognize the presence of our Director General of ICA, Dr. Manuel Otero, his advisor, Dr. Jorge Huertin, the representative, ICA representative in the Eastern Caribbean states, Mr. Greg Rollins, and the technical coordinator here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Sharon Jones. We are here basically to recognize two outstanding young farmers who we deem leaders in their fields of endeavor. ICA recognizes rural leaders in the Americas under an initiative to pay tribute to men and women who are leaving their mark and making a difference in rural communities of our hemisphere. The award pays tribute to those who are playing a unique dual role, guaranteeing food and nutritional security by producing under all circumstances, as well as protecting the biodiversity of the planet. It also emphasizes their capacity to be positive role models in rural areas in the region. The recipients of this award are recognized as leaders of rurality of the Americas. And to date, we have recognized only 15 in the Caribbean, and we have two young people who will be in that illustrious group that we'll be recognizing. Let me just give a brief introduction. We have Keisha Fergus, owner of Kale Blend Smoothie Bar and Lion Pride Farm, a proud native of Butler's Village, Nevis. She is the owner of Kale Blend Smoothie Bar and Lion Pride Farm. She has been recognized by ICA as a leader of rurality, and is also a member of Helen's Daughters in the St. Kitts chapter, and was featured in Everything Agriculture shows in Nevis in 2022. Also, Mr. Scott Cadu, I think they call him Ryan, who is the farm manager of Lion Pride Farm. He has a Bachelor of Science in Urban and Regional Planning with 15 years entrepreneurship skills and experience. A man of business, passion for designing, innovation, and green technologies as it pertains to business and rural development. Mr. Scott works as the farm manager at Lion Pride, where he works with an amazing team and makes what he does multiply and enhance farm productivity. Let me call up our Director General now to say a few brief words, and then he will be handing over the certificate of recognition to these two outstanding young entrepreneurs. DG, please.
Good morning, everyone. Greetings to the panel. Happy to be surrounded by students, and to emphasize that in my condition as Director General of ICA, it's very common to have dialogues with my bosses, the ministers of agriculture, in some sort of top-down strategy. What is not common is to talk and to defend the cause of the farmers. This is why then we decided to implement 3 years ago the program for rural leaders of the America. What does it mean being a rural leader? The one who is in the territory, not just producing. All of the farmers produce food, by definition. But they are, at the same time, the custodians of the biodiversity, the guardians, precisely, of the territories. They promote peace. They don't claim about the situation. They move ahead, although the overall situation is very difficult in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of the possibility to raise their families. So ICA is convinced that we need the people living in the rural areas. Every time farmers goes to the urban centers, it's a drama. It's a drama. Every time a producer is transformed in a consumer. We need to recognize them. We need an agriculture with human face. We need dignity for those who are in the rural areas. This is then the reason why ICA is giving all support to this program, in which before the end of the year we are going to reach 100 rural leaders. 15 of them belong to the Caribbean region. They need more cooperativism. They need to have access to technologies. They need to work together. They need to learn from other farmers from different countries. So I, as a Director General, I'm convinced, I'm supportive, I'm committed to this initiative. And today is a very important day, since we are going to recognize, I think, 2 young leaders? 2 young gentlemen. Okay, congratulations. And we have to work harder in order to transform in agriculture in a place in which more people can live, insist with dignity, thinking in an agriculture with human face. Thank you.
So let me call up Keisha and Scott. Ryan, I see they write your name as Scott. I don't know why they want you to be a Scott. Go ahead, Sharon. You're gonna.
Congratulations. That's it. Ryan, congratulations.
So, colleagues, in the millions and millions of farmers and consumers and populations in the Western Hemisphere, in the Americas, Keisha and Ryan are now 2 of only 100 that has thus far been recognized. So I think it is a tremendous achievement for young farmers, so they deserve a well round of applause, and make St. Kitts and Nevis proud. So I think that is it for us. Thank you very much, and all the best, young farmers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to the 2 of you. And so we will now be going into our session. So again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Nikelia Gregor-Karai. I'm a technical specialist in soil and water management with ICA. I'm also the coordinator of the CCRAF, and my co-coordinator here, Dr. Chani St. Martin. And so earlier we had our first panel talking about the youth, and we gave the floor to the youth. So now we are handing over to the farmers. So as you can see, everybody on here is a farmer, even the moderator. So that is the platform for them. I will provide you a little more details about the CCRAF towards the end. And so what we will do now, we will head straight into this session, and I will pass over to Ras Marcelo.
Yes, morning greetings, everyone. So I am Ras Marcelo Agard. I'm a member of the Gideon Force Farm in Old Road. I left out organic. Gideon Force Organic Farm in Old Road. Yes, as the heading here saying, farmers-led innovation, reduce talk and increase action. There's always been a lot of conversations. So we're hoping that this panel discussion here would help to increase action, and we definitely can reduce some of the talk that we've been having for like maybe a decade now. So we have our panelists here. and ready to go inside their minds and hear what they're willing to share with us. We have already heard the introduction of Akeisha Fergus and Mr. Kadu. So I'll start by introducing, right next to me, we have Ras Bora, who is also a member of Gideon Force Farm. Ras Bora is one of the founders of the farm that is now today known as Gideon Force Organic Farm, a farm known for its organic production methods and dedication to boosting food security and community engagement through agriculture. Ras Bora has been in managerial positions since the inception of the farm. He also served as the treasurer of the Gideon Force Organic Farm Cooperative Limited, a position he has held for 2 administrations. Welcome, Ras Bora. We also have with us Ms. Shania Harris. Shania Harris is a 27-year-old with an associate's degree in agriculture science. She has been in the agriculture industry for 8 years and is a new farmer going on now for 2 years. She is also the owner of Near Evergreen Seedling Nursery, which is located in Newton Ground. And her farm is located in Sandy Point, where she wants to specialize in sweet peppers and greenhouse production. Shania has prior experience in greenhouse production and hydroponic system management. She participated and represented St. Kitts and Nevis in the Youth Agriculture Forum in 2024. Agriculture is her passion, and she hopes to engage other female and young individuals to pursue agriculture to help create a food security and sustainability in her island. Welcome, Shania. And on the far left, we have Anthony Mills. He's the president of the St. Kitts Nevis Persons with Disabilities, and he's a leading advocate for disability rights in the Federation. With more than a decade of experience, he has championed initiatives that provide training, promote accessibility, and empower persons with disabilities to achieve independence and meaningful participation in society. Despite his own physical challenges, Anthony has become a powerful voice for inclusion, working with government, civil society, and regional partners to advance policies, programs, and opportunities that improve the quality of life for persons with disabilities. Respected for his resilience and leadership and vision also, he continues to inspire progress toward a more inclusive, equitable St. Kitts and Nevis. Welcome, Anthony Mills. Well, we have already welcomed Akeisha Fergus and Kadu, but you could still welcome them again. Okay, so we're going to have this panel discussion, and just two small little rules. One, they're going to be presenting for a maximum 8 minutes, and at the end of the presentation, we allow for questions, not comments, just questions. If you have comments, I think maybe you could write them down, and we don't have a comment box, but just question and answer. So if you have a question, you could come with that. If you have a comment, write it down, and we could get to you at another time. So we will start off the session with, right next to me, Ras Bora.
Yes, I blessed morning to each and every one of the ISM who are here today. I give thanks also to IECA for allowing my organization to be represented in such an important gathering. And I hope that what we are here to say will be a help, not only to our country, but even to others who are not from our country. And I also hope to learn from the others who are going to present, because there is room for improvement. But I say thanks again for having I&I. And I want to say thanks most of all to the Almighty God for life, and for what we're going to speak of here is what He gave to us in the beginning of His creation. And we recognize the importance of straying from what He has given to us. So right now the challenge that we have is just because we have strayed a little too far in, and we must return to what was given unto us from the beginning. So I say thanks to the Almighty every time. And I want to say thanks to the Gideon Force Organic Farm to choose I&I to represent, even to the elder and the elders into the into the chairs back there, as into the audience, and even the group for allowing me and having the confidence that I can go and execute the ideas that we push forward. And I will just talk about the challenges because we have a few topics that we were asked to emphasize on, and I will start with the challenges. And I know in St. Kitts and Nevis, I know the main challenge could be the monkey, but I would not go on the monkey, but I think all of us will have that common issue. But I want to talk about more fundamental issues that happen on the farm that, have to improve, otherwise we can see a situation in the long term. So when our farm started out, one of the first things that we recognize is that as an organic farm, we must have a certain amount of organic matter, humus, because within soil structure, and that's our main, to say, respond to what we do as a farmer. We have to build our soil structure. So organic matter was important for us to have, and have it consistently, have it abundantly. We have to have also a fertilizer too, because we're doing a natural way of farming, we recognize that we have to also have a source of fertilizer. And it was important for us to even have our own source of fertilizer, because we couldn't trust other farmers in the way that we'd go about dealing with the animals. So in terms of the challenges, soil structure had to be organized, and then water. Water is important for organic matter to be broken down, for these microbes to devour the worms, to do their work. So you have to have a certain level of moisture, and it can't ever dry out. So we have to find a way to have this consistency and have all this balance. So one of the first things that we have to recognize is, as we have no solution, we have to find solution. So we implement a system that is called today agroforestry. In our time of putting it, it's just a Rasta technique, it's just our traditional technique from our forefathers, where we have food trees among our normal livestock and our vegetables. But what we did, we put it on a large scale, and we set it in a way that it would not cause a situation for the vegetables, cause a problem for the animals, and so we don't have a conflict while having a agroforestry setting. So agroforestry just adding food trees, shrubs, ornamentals, what we call flowers, that are gonna definitely be beneficial. And in this way, we have a chance to impact a lot of different areas. We also would bring animals, because we talk about fertilizer. So we bought some sheep. We look at sheep will be more easy to manage, because you have to still have something that would not be too much of work you have to do. And at the same time, you're able to still get back what you want from out of these sheep. And we know the sheep also do a domestic work for us, because they help graze the land for us. So they naturally keep our land in check when we have an area that we could put them and they will be safe to dwell. So these would have been some of the solutions that we put in, the agroforestry, and introducing a set of animals that will give us back fertilizer. And also, we had what is called water catchment, a water dam, and then we bring barrels to harvest the water. Because when you're doing organic farming, rainwater is more important than the water from the government system, because of the chemicals in the government system to control microbes. You don't want microbes to be controlled in a disorder system. You want them to have the way to survive. So in terms of the innovation, we recognize that immediately after this, she started to really come to be something. We realized that we had organic matter in abundance. So right now we don't have to go off the farm to source this material, and it's important to have it as much as possible for the life to continue. We also had a water system, drip irrigation system, that we could have the water centralized to direct areas, that we don't waste the water, and at the same time the water impact exactly where we want it to impact, right? We have timers now on our drip system, because it's important for the water to actually be used in the right timing, because even having water, if you're not having it in the right timing, especially in an organic environment, all these microbes can die, and you have to restart the project or restart the program. So for us, water is very essential in terms of the timing. And then I will go to the impact. You have what you call like a negative and a positive, because for the negative, trees spend at least 5, 6, 10 years to come mature. So the time it takes for you to look after trees and not making the money. Sometimes farmers struggle with that little time, but at the same time what we did, we keep an eye on our food trees where we planting our vegetable crops. So it didn't have us too distracted and waiting for one thing. The cost of the implement sometimes is a problem. Pipe system, drip irrigation system, even storage system. That's some of the negative, but the positive, we improve production by just having the food trees because they give us back foods, which is the main reason for agriculture. They give us back the organic matter, they give us even food for our animals, because some of these trees, like the rainfall, the breeding trees that we have there, they feed the animals and they eat the fruits. Is a part of the whole system, right? And in terms of the ecodiversity, that improved totally, guys. You know, we're seeing all kind of birds, all the insects. We don't have to go now and worry if a bee gonna come to pollinate our crops. They are there automatically with the ornamentals. So we host a home for the birds, because these ecosystems, they have to have a comfortable spot for them to survive. And so these things help us a lot. So we see improvement in pollination, a reduce in terms of pests, insects, to say control issue, and most of all, our health improve. Because that's the whole idea why we do agriculture anyways, to say, well, at the end of the day, we have to be more healthier, guys. And I'll be honest, since I came from working in the system, we call it, and I come to Gideon, I haven't had a sick day for more than 10 years. I think the environment alone, just being in this fresh environment, eating the fresh food, you know, having a clear conscience because you know you're doing something what the Almighty set before you. I think, we ain't going wrong, and I think that I give thanks to the elders again to even allow us as the youngsters to get the chance to do these things where they advise us. And I would say there is no movement without collectivity. No one man is an arm in agriculture, and it's important to be as a collective. So being a cooperative for us also have been a strength. So when one can be there, like we are here now, somebody will be on the farm where we're here, because that's important. But I will say thank you for allowing me to speak, and I will finish here. Yeah, Jah guide and protect.
So yeah, there you have it, Rasboro. We'll just let the presentations flow. So you have your questions, write them down. If you don't have paper, go to your phone, go to your notepad, and just write your question down, so that when we finish, then you just put your questions to the panelists accordingly. So we'll hand it over now to Akeisha Fergus. Oh, and as I probably didn't mention it, but the conversations is about the challenges that they are dealing with, the solutions that they are finding to deal with these challenges, innovations, and what impact they're having. So this is what the conversation is really about. Akeisha Fergus.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. The challenges that I had first starting the farm was the management of the farm. We started off the traditional way, where you go, you bring the tractor in, and when you have planted the seeds or the seedlings, there will be a lot of weeds that grow up. And it was very difficult to weed up all of those banks, keeping the farm tidy and so forth. And because it was just my partner and I, we could not get it done. So the management aspect of it was a problem. So what we decided to do as a solution was to find innovative technology. Our farm is fully matted, ground cover, and we have multiple timers at different stations. We have fertigators. We also have a system in place where it's running more smoothly, where you would have the whole entire area to weed up. It's just the hole that you cut out where the plant have to actually grow. We have to weed out. And I'm going to pass it along my partner.
Hi, good morning. So yes, my name is Ryan, and as Akeisha said earlier, we operate our farm in Nevis is fully mapped out for the reason of better farm management. In the sense of what we both can do, it probably would take 3 or 4 or 5 other persons to get it done if we didn't employ certain technologies. So now, even because we're in this thing to be profitable at the end of the day, we look at farming as a vehicle for us to be able to support our family as individuals grow. She mentioned the challenges and the solutions. The impact of those solutions, however, require some level of research, some time taken to experiment to see how these matting are going to react with our climate, how much water the plant gonna need. So that the observation had to be done now to be able to keep the systems running effectively. So you might find pipes bursting and the battery gone dead in the timer. There are things that you have to check for. So if you don't have an understanding for it, it might come complicated. So a next part of this journey would have been teaching, training the person that we have on the farm now to be able to feel comfortable with the technologies being employed right now. In terms of impacts, we're definitely seeing more production. So when it took us time to replant an area, we could now reap, clear, prepare seedlings, and plant an area. So that area, if we'd done it properly, we could produce a crop 4 times a year in a particular area, based off of just keeping to a particular schedule. So having the assistance of those technologies, the timers, the jips, as Akisha mentioned, it really helped us to be more productive with less work. You understand? So we're getting more food and not having to do more work. In the sense of, I remember having to use the spray pack to spray, and she mentioned the fertigator. Having the fertigator now, you can actually add nutrients and still add fungicide. You can still add I don't want to call it organic fertilizer. So we would prepare our compost tea as well. So you could even add your compost tea, your neem, and different things to the soil directly. Things that could help build the soil structure. My friend here mentioned the organic matter. So we're still able to add organic matter when we're replanting. So all of these stuff can be now done much more simpler, much more sustainable, in the end of more productivity, and we having less work, or Akisha would say, work smart and not hard. So for me now, as a business mind, I see the farm being able to continue on the path of innovation. One of the things that I'm seeing right now, where we're adding solar, we're adding wind technology, because we're seeing where, as a farm, to be more sustainable, we need to be able to store as well. We need to be able to look at the fact that if we're increasing more products, we're probably going to need more storage area. We don't want the idea of produce being spoiled on us because we can't reach the market in time. Understand? So being able to have storage on site and electricity to be able to preserve and maybe even run more pumps and waters is something that we want to look forward to. So for us, innovation and technology is the way to go. Work smarter and not so hard is what I really want to push forward, because traditional farming is okay. I grew up with my grandfather working in summer on his farm and so forth. I understand the history of farming in a traditional method, but to get younger generations involved, persons who want to see profitability and production, maybe in a smaller setting or in their backyard, can employ these technologies to be able to be a part of this farming revolution, if you want to call it. We're introducing farm life as something that is trending, not something that is intensive in hard labor and sweating and so forth. So what we want to be a pioneer of is using these technologies to really make farm production increase in Nevis and inspire other persons to do the same.
Okay, so you heard it from Fergus and Kadu. Right, so we'll keep it flowing. Write your questions down again that you have for these two who just went by with Fergus and Kadu. We're now going to hear from Shania Harris.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Shania Harris. I'm the owner of Naya Evergreen Seedlings and Farm. I'm a new farmer. Okay. When you hear the word innovation, what comes to mind? For a long time for me, it was technology, the smartphones, the apps, something with a screen. I struggle with this topic a little bit because we are taught to think of innovation as something digital. My journey has shown me that that's not the case. So what is innovation? According to Google, it is successful implementation of a new or improved idea. New methods, products, or services that create value for customers and stakeholders. It involves taking an idea from inception to reality, often by improving existing offerings or developing entirely new ones. And it is a key driver of business growth and progress in various fields, including agriculture. So, just a little bit of background on my journey of becoming a farmer. I wasn't always into agriculture, as you could see. Well, not directly. I always loved to eat. You could ask my cousin right there. I truly love sports and healthy eating. So for me, when it was time to apply for CFBC, my first choice was actually food and nutrition. But life had other plans. Food and nutrition, the program was full. So I had to choose my second option, agriculture. No, I did agriculture in high school, but in my mind, I had always bought into the stereotype, the stigma, like many of us, that farming is for the poor, the uneducated, I have to admit. But let me tell you, after completing the agriculture program at CFBC, my whole mind was changed. Sorry. I realized after the program that we, farmers, agriculturalists, we are the main stakeholders of society. We are the cornerstones of the world, and we aren't truly appreciated or valued as we should be here in our small Golden Rock country of St. Kitts. That realization is why I chose to stay in agriculture, to be an example for other women and young adults, to help break that stigma. And honestly, I can say confidently, when I tell anyone that I'm a farmer, they are surprised. However, they always encourage me and applaud it. So the thinking of farming is just for the poor and uneducated has already shifted. A little background, I worked at Cardi for a few years. I was involved in hydroponic projects, which was used to grow leafy green vegetables in a controlled environment. I also had experience in greenhouse projects, and I did a little internship at a farmer in Newton Ground, a female farmer at that. And then I was transferred to the agriculture department where I am currently. After working at the agriculture department, I grew to love the greenhouse projects and seedling, and that's where my idea of starting a seedling business for myself came about. Having a farm, I'm a 9-to-4 worker, so I'm not a full-time farmer. So it can be challenging going to work and still running a farm. However, because of innovation, the use of plastic mulch, the ground cover, the timers, the irrigation systems made it a little easier for me. The challenges I face at my farm is the lack of water. I don't have any water on my farm right now, and as I said before, it can hinder me because of the frequency of using fertilizer, the fungicides, and not being able to implement the irrigation system. So I have to come up with a solution, and my solution was to use barrels or water tanks as catchment to help resolve that situation of not having access to the main source, the water source. Also, one of my challenges is lack of transportation. So I would encourage anyone who's going into farming to go into a cooperative or to go into partnership where you will have access to different materials, transportation, resources, which also open up the chances of you getting financial aids, grants, and so on. For the sealing part of it, my sealing business, because I'm a new farmer, as I stated before, one of my biggest challenges for the greenhouse was accessing planting materials and infrastructure. So though I had a shaded net to help reduce the light impact on the plants, the shading net wasn't the appropriate one. So I had a lot of plant damage from water, heavy rainfalls, and pests and diseases. So to solve that situation, I had to use a plastic cover when it's time, when it's in the rainy season. I had to adapt. So when it's the dry season, I would use a net. When it's the rainy season, I would use a plastic covering that reduces fungal issues and pests and diseases. That's part of my innovation. It may not be technology, but those little things help to improve your situation. So where do I go from here? My goals really, as a young farmer, is into greenhouse production. I always been fascinated with greenhouse, and that's the path I would like to take. Currently, I don't have a greenhouse, but I'm working towards it. And I may have came into this field of agriculture by accident, but I stayed by choice. I am a farmer. I am proud to stand here as a young, educated farmer, and I would like to encourage the students here to stick to agriculture. At first, it may be hard and challenging, but I would encourage you to partner with a current farmer and get hands-on experience. And farming have transformed over the years. We are no longer seed to soil. We have different projects. We have hydroponics, we have greenhouse, we have aquaponics. So I would encourage the young ones here to stick to farming. We are the cornerstone, as I stated before, and we are the one who would feed the generation to come. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Mills. I'm the president of the Association of Persons with Disabilities. And I want to share a story with you guys today. It's about a project that the association embarked on. And to be honest, we wouldn't be on this journey if it wasn't for people like Miss Sharon Jones and people like the permanent secretary for agriculture. Those are people who help us a lot to get to where we want to. And also there was a lecturer at Clarence Fitzroy Bryan who helped to install the irrigation system. And one of the things we realized in St. Kitts and pretty much across the Caribbean, because I got a lot of ideas from my counterpart in Antigua, who is also on the same journey I'm on, is that traditional farming is really physical demanding. You know, you have a lot of uneven terrain, heavy tools and stuff that makes it difficult for people with disabilities to get involved in farming. And so one of the things we did, we looked at all these barriers because it wasn't just physical barriers. Because of these things, people with disabilities were limited in opportunities in terms of getting involved in farming. So we asked ourselves how to make farming more accessible. How can we redesign a farm so that everyone can work, everyone can learn, and everyone can thrive? And this is the question that has guided every step of this project, and is still guiding this project because it's a work in progress. We began by building raised beds. Our project have 32 beds that are 8 feet by 4 feet and 24 inches high. This allows persons with mobility challenge like myself who uses wheelchairs and older persons to not have to bend all the way down to the ground to do farming. But you can sit next to a box that's high enough and still engage with the plants. How you can harvest your plants, you can water the plants. Like I said earlier, we install an automatic irrigation system. This reduces the physical demands of watering while ensuring the crops can receive constant care and the water that they need. The layout of this farm is designed with wide parts. We actually have 5 feet between each box, so that a person with a wheelchair can roll down there and turn around and do what they need to do. We have accessible workstation. This makes navigation easier. And we have introduced adaptive tools designed for different abilities so that every participant can work independently and efficiently. We have already seen the impacts of these changes, because people who were once unable to participate in farming can now actively engage in planting, harvesting, and caring for crops. And we have learned some valuable lessons. We have learned that if you make farming accessible, people with disabilities who sometimes may not have farming as an interest, because there's that access. We have seen people who want now to learn about farming. And because we are developing up this project as a sort of more of a learning center, we can engage more people with disabilities in terms of learning agriculture. One of the things we did is we first covered the whole area with the matting. We did this for 2 reasons: for weed control, and it makes it easier for persons with disabilities who may have mobility aids and stuff to walk on the matting instead of trying to navigate on the dirt that may become soft when rain comes and stuff like that there. We thought that the farm would become a space where people with disabilities would feel empowered, feel included, and be proud of their contributions. And I want to emphasize that this is still a work in progress. There are many more improvements and innovations that we hope to implement in this space. we've learned that accessibility benefits everyone, not just those persons with disability. Simple changes like raised beds or wider paths make work easier. It makes work safer and more enjoyable for all. But perhaps one of the most important lessons we have learned so far is that listening to the people we are designing this project for is crucial. Because by involving people with disabilities in the design and the implementation and in the design making, we ensure that solutions we implement are practical. Like we tell, even when we speak to government, we try to get them to realize that if you don't involve the people with the disabilities, a lot of the times, even with the best of intentions, it don't work right. So we use that same thing and we involve the people that we are designing this project for in the decision making, in the discussion, what works best for you, what would make your job easier. We are trying to expand the project, and so we have sent a proposal to one of the UN agencies because we hope somewhere down along the line to introduce horticulture therapy. And horticulture therapy, for those who don't know, is using plants as wellness. You know, it's using plants as a healing process, and because plants themselves are therapeutic. So we hope to introduce that as part of the training. We hope to someday expand what we are doing into the communities and ensure that people, when they come to the farm and they learn about what we're doing, that they can replicate it maybe in their backyards or in a little piece of land that they may have, make it much easier, because our raised beds function as like a container. We hear a lot about container farming, where you can grow plants in maybe a half a drum, or you could grow plants in a bottle or something like that. So it's just a bigger version of that there. And we're hoping that people can take what they learn from our farm and replicate it somewhere else. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, well, you heard it there, so I hope you all have your questions ready. So this is the question and answer period. We kind of tight with time. We have about 6-7 minutes.
Good morning all again. So my question is, do y'all prefer to use chemical fertilizers over organic?
Who are you directing the question to?
Anyone who wants to answer.
Okay. Well, this is organic, so I guess maybe it's for definitely not into chemicals. So somebody else would.
Prefer to use organic because on our farm we prefer to use organic. Not only is it better for the plants and the environment, but because a lot of people with disabilities have compromised immune systems, so we don't want to put chemicals on the plants and overwork the system. So it's more safe and it's more healthy. So that's kind of what we do.
Okay.
I want to give you a pointer. I would look at farming as being a science. CMS still, and it's about observation, it's about learning what you're dealing with. So before you make a judgment on something, I would prefer you go and do your own research. You understand? Do your own research. So there's a thing called moderation. It means that you could drink water, but if you drink too much water, it ain't gonna be good for you. But water is life. You understand? So there are certain amendments that you might need that organically is not easily accessible, right? But then you have a problem that you have on the farm, and you know that you don't put in X amount of time, X amount of money in labor, X amount of effort. So for you to continually take losses, you understand? You want to kind of not have full control, but have some kind of understanding of what can be done to remedy a situation or what can be done to prevent a situation. So my thing would be definitely organic, but in this time now where you don't want losses, you want to minimize losses. A part of farming, especially when it comes to funding, people see farming as a big risk, a risk factor. So what does the chemical engineering do for you? It helps you to reduce that risk factor involved in farming. So if you're really serious with the farming, I would suggest you go and do your own product research. They have a lot of companies around the Caribbean that are providing, I wouldn't say totally organic, but environmentally friendly compounds that are easily broken down, so it wouldn't leave a residue. There'll be some residue if you overuse it, but you could use it in a moderation that it doesn't leave no significant traces that are going to toxify your soil and kill off all the good microbes and all them kind of stuff there. So moderation would be my suggestion on a topic.
All right, thank you for that. Let me just say we have a limited time. So let me see the hands up. I'm going to comb through this section. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Fine, good. Let's make the questions very direct, comments very direct and short so we can get everybody.
Good morning. My question is to the young lady, the young farmer. Before you said you were experiencing a lack of transportation for your farm to the market service. Have you tried applying for any subsidies from the government? And if so, what were your experiences with it?
For me, no, I haven't applied for any subsidies. I know the agriculture department gives duty off, some percentage off of vehicles, but as I stated before, I'm a new farmer. I haven't been working like that long to get access to loan as yet. I'm building to get financially stable to a certain point where I could go present my business paper to a bank to say that, okay, I'm established, I've been working as a farmer for 2 years, this is my income from my farm, and I would like $100,000 for a vehicle. We have to do a little work before we present and go to a bank, because if you go to a bank, you don't have any budget, you don't have any records. As the young man said here, they see us as a risk because farming, we don't have insurance. Any other business, you might have insurance to fall back on, but as a farmer, unfortunately, we don't have an insurance, so when we go to a bank, we have to guarantee, they have to guarantee that they will get back their money. So I haven't reached out to any institution as yet. Currently, I'm just building, and I'm getting assistance to family at the moment.
Thank you. One right here.
Yeah, give thanks. Give thanks to all the panelists. Good presentation, more exceptional, good energy still. I heard you mention many things, many challenges for the farm, the Gideon Force. But one thing I didn't really hear you speak about was soil erosion. What methods, what techniques did you use to control soil erosion and nutrients, like, running from the topsoil and what's not?
Keep it as short as possible.
Yeah, give thanks, blessed. For soil erosion, the agroforestry is really complete everything, guys. It control all erosion, first of all, because when trees get mature, the rush of water coming through always have, because of how we have these, like in contours, they break the water cycle as it comes towards the farm from a slope point of view. We also use mulches, like the fabric mulch that everybody would have used upon that also prevent too much of topsoil moving. Cover crops also do that when you're not planting, you're able to just grow back with weeds because you're not using it. But these are some of the methods. And intercropping, with the more trees you have in a space, it reduces the amount of soil exposed to be moved. So these are some of the techniques that we use, and just the natural mulching using trash, whatever cuttings from the farm. All these areas that help control erosion, soil erosion, especially from the water itself. And wind too, right? But yeah. That's what I would think.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for all the panelists. Wonderful presentation. I'm here in capacity twofold because I'm representing the Department of Technology and I'm also a local farmer who owns Petition Blue. Now, one of the challenges, my question, local farmers are recognizing the challenges in terms of productivity and efficiency, and technology can help address this. However, introducing technologies to local farms could be a significant financial barrier for small farmers, and especially in our region. What could you say, even I'm addressing it to all of the panelists, how could you say that we can help to minimize this shock for local farmers in terms of introducing new technologies? What strategies can we use to help introduce those new technologies so it will not be such a financial barrier?
Keep it at 30 seconds.
All right. Just a quick answer. Subsidies, like strategic subsidies. And for instance, availability of resources has to be imported. Like certain things are not made here. You understand? Technology, innovation, we don't make things here. You understand? So access to it is very much dependent on the support of the government. So for instance, water was a problem. Me Rastaman Bridging was supposed to go to say, hey, I want to bring in some plastic, big, large containers, and I need it for my farm. Automatically, he shouldn't have to go through no red tape and no sign up this and go over blah, blah, blah. And then when you still do all that there, you can tell them, oh, you still have to pay VAT, duties somewhere elsewhere, where he's still putting him to dig in his pocket. I'm not saying you can commit financially, but he did. He bought the stuff. Can you at least assist by giving us some duty free?
Yeah, we're running out of time. We not running, we ran out of time. So we take, one last question. Keep it short and the response also short.
Good morning. Representing agriculture in Turks and Caicos Islands. Thank you for the presentations. But my question is for the Gideon farmers. Thank you for hosting us on Sunday in your farm. I know it was a busy day for you. Give thanks. So my question is not to do with the farm itself, but the way the farm is run and operated, which is your corporation, your association that you have. I want you to share a little bit more about that experience, how it works, and the advantages of having it. The reason is yesterday afternoon, we keep hearing about farmers' corporations and cooperatives don't work in this region. I keep hearing that story over and over for years. I am in this sector for 36 years now. I hate to hear it because for us to move on as a region, that is the way the farmers need to go. We heard from the young people this morning, and they need to understand what the advantages of being in that situation is. And I really want you to share your experience where that is concerned.
Yes, I give thanks. I think what we have at the Gideon is a little bit more different to most of the groups. We have a spiritual setting, so we have like we call it a church, and majority of the members, they are part of the church, so they have to consciously be aware of what it is, like to say, their righteousness. So we expect our members to show up, because sometimes, as you say, it's less talking, it's more action. And sometimes that's what happens to groups. There's too much talking and there's less action. So that's one the way that we go. And we imply a lot of bonuses to our workers. We give them the extras, they're allowed to go with the food. So it ain't just simple being a part of a shareholder. We make sure we expound on the benefits, right? For example, when they had the pandemic, that was a good example of a challenge that most group men would have got you, but our farm, our members to come to the farm when you could have gone and shop and get what I want, and it was so good, and be honest. You know, it worked out for us because at that time we had a lot of food in. It was summer. The food children were, doing their thing, and we couldn't go and sell it in the shops because they had a certain timing for. But our members benefits, and I think that kind of opened up our members' eyes that, I have to continue being a part, being supportive, not only by effort, but financially too. Giving implements, some members like the elder, they put in their monies. They don't maybe put the physical all the time, but they look at areas that they can strengthen the group, because it's don't always about the physical work. Sometimes it's about the spiritual conscious awareness. So I think that what we have over most group, the level of consciousness within righteousness. But thank you for the question, and thank you for appreciating the time and the farm too.
There you have it. There you have it. Well, I must say, in regards to the last question, for those of you, because I see a lot of young faces here, and what we are trying to achieve now, I mean, is the whole Caribbean, but for St. Kitts, what we are trying to achieve now is what people who are as old as I am would understand, that that was the reality back then. Food security was the reality back then, and now we're trying to get back there, and for some reason we're struggling to get back to something that we had naturally, that we just used to do. And if you look at our Caribbean region, in terms of the religious aspect of things, all religions, every single religion, quote or use analogies of agriculture into their spirituality. So agriculture is just something that's supposed to be an umbrella over everything else, but now we put agriculture in the corner and we have everything else over it and create that little stigma, like people don't want to be in agriculture. But you're young, if you do a little history, you'll realize that even though you see only 2 women here, agriculture was never without the women. So women were always fully involved into the whole concept of agriculture. So we give thanks. So that's round 1. We have round 2 coming up. So we have a next panel coming up. So y'all could.
Round of applause for the panel, please. Thank you and your contribution. Right. We have just one more section. It's an interesting session on waste and also fashion, agriculture and fashion. So I invite you. We have one person physically with us, and we have 2 persons online. So I invite you to the stage just for about 30 minutes to just hear what the sister has to say about that. Thank you very much.
Those online already?
Yes, they are online. Yes. Where you want?
Center, like right here.
So you're done here?
So what's the
Yes.
I'm going to be right here with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Denise, I was just asking, tell me about your organization. I really love that.
Okay.
So especially the organic,
yeah.
Because that's
what we do. Well, that's great. So you live St. Kitts?
Sorry?
You're from here?
No, I'm from Trinidad.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're here with, of course, you see, we don't have enough time for this thing, and even though we said earlier, reduce talk, increase action, I think when we're planning these things, we have to understand that if they're going to be so short and we don't have that proper engagement, then we will not reduce talk, because we have to come back to talk again. So we really, really need to plan the amount of time so that we could have that proper engagement. So we really reduce the talk by talking it out now, and then we go straight into the action. So yeah, so I hope this round, we only have a half an hour. But let me just get you familiar with the panelists that we have here. This is Denise Carew. Denise Carew is, well, she has a doctoral in sustainability education and an experienced leader in product development for the small business and apparel sector. She's also a sustainability consultant for the government and non-governmental also and private organizations. Denise Carew, people.
Greetings, everyone.
Okay, got you.
Thank you. So I'm Denise Carew, lead product developer at Made Neo, which is a sustainable fashion brand. You can find it online if you want to see a bit of what we do. We also do some training and development in creating products out of waste materials, Yeah, so we do a lot of training in that area. So I offer sustainability consultancy. I'm the founder of Community Economic Development Impact Hubs, which I'll share a little bit about in a little bit. And I am a doctoral scholar, imagine that, in sustainability education. So what do we think about when we think about fashion? Guys, seen that photo? So when we talk about fashion, I'm here to talk about fashion, but not really. The fashion industry, we think about glitz and glamour and the runway and these beautiful dresses. But behind the scenes, next slide, please. Behind the scenes, on the beaches in Accra, Ghana, 18 tons of textile waste is collected every day. This is what we see. This is like stuff that people wear from around the world reaches the beaches of Ghana. 18 tons every week. Recently, in a cleanup campaign on the foreshore in Trinidad, those of you who are from Trinidad, it's one of the main road veins in the country. There seems to be an increasing number of textile waste on the shores. I saw recently too in Jamaica, there was a cleanup campaign, a lot of textiles, a lot of garment waste. Now, we don't have the data for that, but I'm sure it's happening here as well, because there's no real way to discard of garment and textiles, right? It all goes in the dumps. Activism by workers in the global manufacturing centers. Now, in the region, we don't have many manufacturers of garments and textiles, so a lot of it is imported. So this is what's happening now. Shein Fashion Fast Brand. This is what the workers from that organization are doing. They have just revealed that child labor practices in their supply chain exists, and this was in 2024, last year. Fast fashion brands are known for overproduction to maintain cheap prices. The quality of garments are low, and a large percentage is dumped in developing countries, which is where we're from, right? So in Trinidad in particular, I haven't shopped here, or many parts of the region, you can get very, very, very cheap clothing of low quality. And we all buy them because it's available, it's affordable, but the quality is low, and what it does to the environment is poor. So I'm going to talk about how does fashion and agriculture intersect. Thanks. Yeah, okay, wow, this is so much louder. How does fashion and agriculture intersect? So we know that cotton is made from a plant, silk is made from silkworms. These are some of the main materials that are natural. Dyes like indigo, that comes from the indigo plant, that comes from turmeric, that comes from ruku. I don't know what it's called here, but maybe you have it. It's a red dye that we get from this plant. We use it to cook with as well. Aloe, coffee, cocoa, all of these things are used can be used to make dyes. I found out recently in the 1700s that indigo dye was actually made in Tobago. That was amazing to me. There are giant vats that remain in Tobago, and that plant grows like wild shrubs there. I don't know if it grows in the region. I'm sure it does. So there are some pictures of some materials. I think I have ruku, no, not ruku, sorry, turmeric. Most of you might know what turmeric is. It's used for cooking, it's used for medicine, and it's also an amazing dye. Next slide. Yep, plenty curry recipes.
And I think I have a picture of the indigo plant there. Well, you guys can look it up. And also avocado pits, beautiful colors, all of which I've experimented with and innovated with, which is something that I would love to see happen more and more. Fabric also could be made from banana bark. There are companies that are already doing it. I know in the region, is it St. Lucia, that has a lot of bananas, that bark is not utilized, but in fact goes to the dumps. So one of the issues about the intersection between agriculture and fashion is that they both produced as waste. So I just spoke about the banana bark. Where does that go? It goes to the landfills. Or some people may use it back in composting, but I don't think many people are into that aspect of agriculture. Fabric gets into the oceans, microplastics from fibers, and the chemicals from synthetic dyes gets into the waterways, and we end up consuming that. There's a likelihood of the dumping of clothing to increase too in the Caribbean because regulations are being enforced in Europe and some other major markets regarding the importation of fast fashion garments. So most fast fashion companies will have an overstock of production. They will have stuff in warehouses because it's cheaper to produce 10,000 pieces, 10,000 shirts as opposed to 1,000 shirts. So they will produce that, not be able to sell it, and export it to regions like ours. So I imagine that that's going to get worse. So I am here to interest you in working together, collaborating on establishing community economic development impact hubs throughout the Caribbean region. These hubs are multidisciplinary, and the first one is a model hub that will integrate climate-smart agriculture and sustainable fashion. The main activities of the hub will be training and workshops in the science of fibers, the science of dye making, cultivating plants for use in dye and textile development, utilizing fashion and agriculture waste in product development, entrepreneurship, the use of technology and digital strategies for the development of products, business development, innovation through research and development, brand and product development, and ILO certification. So let us harness our talent and resources and take advantage of the business opportunity in the sustainable fashion market. The sustainable fashion market size is projected to grow from US dollars 8.04 billion in 2024 to US 58.3 billion in 2035. Thank you. I would have loved to put up the last slide, which was the one with the garment made from dyed fabrics, but maybe later.
Okay, you have it from Scarlet. So we have the others online. So we're going to introduce Mrs. Coffee, Shan Coffee. Shan Coffee Young is an award-winning waste management educator, consultant, and social entrepreneur with nearly 2 decades of experience in the environmental sector. She is the founder and managing director of Sahel Environmental Services Limited, a social enterprise dedicated to helping individuals, communities, and businesses to reimagine their relationship with food waste. Renowned for her engaging energy and expertise, Shan continues to champion practical, people-centered solutions to waste management and challenges across the Caribbean and beyond. Welcome, Mrs. Shan Coffee.
Thank you, Ras, and thank you, everybody. I hope everybody is hearing me clearly. Just let me know if you are not, but it is such an honor to be there, to be here with you, even though albeit virtually, which is not my favorite thing, but I'm happy to be here nonetheless. So greetings, and my discussion with you is really about my involvement in the National Biowaste Stakeholders Group, which is being facilitated by ICA. So as Ras said, so I am the founder and CEO of SIAL. We are a food and organic waste management consultancy, education, and management company. And, you know, befitting the theme, sowing change and harvesting resilience, I think that's a great place for us to start, because I often say waste is like the naughty child that gets put in the corner that nobody wants to deal with. Out of all of the climate change issues, it's the last one that people pay attention to. Oftentimes, I have been in this space for 2 decades now, and we've always felt like that. And food and organic waste is the same. But here's the caveat about that, right? Food and organic waste continually makes up the largest percentage of waste that is generated across the Caribbean region. It ranges from about 30% to 40%. In some places, it can go all the way up to 50%. Yet, it is often overlooked, and it does not get the attention that it rightfully deserves. So, because I've been working in waste for so long, I normally tend to pick up all of the problems. You know, I'm shifting from, I worked in recyclables, I worked in chemicals, I worked in textiles, and now working in food waste. It's just a problem that I feel that I had to manage, and something that it was taking some time because nobody was paying attention to it. But over time, I realized that every banana peel, every piece of bread, every leaf, every stem tells a story of its own, and it's a missed opportunity and untapped potential. So sometimes we have a tendency to believe that we see waste only at the end, yeah? But the whole journey of waste management starts from generation. Waste management in of itself is the generation, collection, transportation, processing, education, and then disposal of waste. But we often, when we think of this word, which I don't really like because it's a resource, it's an input material for something else, we always think of it at the end of its life, post the harvest on the farm, post the generation, after it's been eaten and consumed. But it's really a part of the entire food system story. Yeah, because we talk about food security, but we often don't make the connection between food security, food loss, and food waste. Because a lot of what we are losing is still edible, it's still nutritious, might be a little bit ugly, but it's worth being consumed. So there's a question for you guys, and I know I can't really see you, but still gonna ask anyway. How many of you have ever, you throw away, you have a little scraps, you throw away food, but you feel a little pang of guilt. You know, you feel a little something in your gut telling you, I'm really not supposed to do that, you know, but what else am I supposed to do? Have any of you in the audience ever felt that way? I know in the beginning, before I started my own journey with waste, I used to feel that way. So I will be the first to raise my hand from that sense. So ICA has really brought together a diverse team of stakeholders. Yes, Michaela in the chat. And hi to my virtual people too. Y'all don't afraid to pop on your no, don't afraid. Right. So ICA has really brought together a diverse group of stakeholders, from academia to private sector to ministries, all of us coming together to develop what we would want to be our national bio-waste policy, a governing policy based on a collective effort, because managing bio-waste, and you're hearing me say the word bio-waste, right? I know I also say food waste. So bio-waste is the grasses, the trees, the shrubs. It can also incorporate the scraps, so your skins, your peels, and so on. And when I say food waste, I'm referring to food that has been prepared, so cooked food. And that's the differentiation between the two terms, right? So bio-waste management and food waste management is not a single entity's job. Hence the reason why we all came together from various backgrounds, from people in the animal feed sector, to really agriculture, waste management, energy, public health, and community livelihoods, to really attack this issue head on. Waste is often referred to as a wicked problem. So far we've done some stakeholder mapping, we've identified what are our national objectives, we've defined key components and priority areas for action, of course with the overarching thing of food waste reduction as the priority. So I used to be a secondary school teacher, so I see my young people in the audience, so I can't help myself to teach a little bit, right? So in food and organic waste management, there's something called the food waste hierarchy. And the first line of defense of that hierarchy, or the most preferred, is food waste reduction. Then feeding people, then feeding animals, then processing, which is where composting, biogas digestion, anaerobic digestion sits. And then we get to the landfill. So food waste reduction has to be your first line of defense, right? And then, of course, all of the other things, as I mentioned them before, it's beginning of really shifting our mindsets and shifting our thinking around how we manage this resource, how we utilize it. Earlier, Ras was talking about organic farming and the fact that he wants to using organic fertilizer and the importance of that. And I continue to reiterate that as well. We have too many inorganic, too many chemical-based fertilizers. And I often tell people, if it's good for the worms, it's good for you. Because the worms can detect when the food has too many chemicals in it. So if you see a little hole in your pak choy or a little dig in your cucumber, still eat it, right? Don't turn it away. So I am bringing to that panel my technical expertise as an educator and a consultant, really prioritizing food waste reduction, feeding people and animals, with the goal to turn this into an opportunity for farmers and communities. Because that's essentially, the communities at the core of everything that we're doing. And so we have been able to build local capacity in composting and food waste reduction, all the while empowering citizens to take action one step at a time. So managing biowaste means improve soil health, fertility, reducing fertilizer costs, reducing our dependency on inorganic fertilizers, but it also gives us opportunity to increase awareness, to educate and re-educate, to advocate, to develop communities, and when everybody does their part, we'll make the link to food security, loss, and waste. So this collaboration that ICA is facilitating is a beautiful one, because the ugly truth is waste connects us all. I don't think there's anybody in the room that has not generated waste today. Yeah? Has not eaten something and thrown away a pack, has not. We all generate waste, whether it is the tangible waste that we eat or the waste that comes from our bodies. We all generate waste. It connects us all. And through collaboration, education, and innovation, we can turn this action into a regional one. Because Ryan was talking about the fact that we don't make a lot of things in the region. And that needs to change. Because boost ourselves, yeah? So let's collaborate, compost, and create change. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it. So get your questions together for when this final panelists go through with their presentation. So we have Ramdio Bundu. I have that correct? Okay, so nobody complaining. Mr. Bundu is a national award winner in Trinidad and Tobago of 2022, receiving the nation's second highest award, the what is this, Caconia Gold Medal for long and mysterious service. Wow, I never heard of anything like that. In the field of agriculture, and has been a close collaborator of CADI. Mr. Bundu has been an innovator in production, breeding, and developing production systems in root crop production in Trinidad and Tobago. His focus has been on breeding new varieties of sweet potato, which he's going to be talking about shortly, to meet various market demand, introducing innovative sweet production, agronomic and mechanized practices to reduce cost of production, including the planting of double row of sweet potato to reduce fertilizer leaching and reduce fertilizer costs, while at the same time allowing for mechanized harvest of sweet potato. He also does value-added sweet potato punch. Quite interesting. Welcome, Mr. Bundu.
Yes. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on this forum. And correction, the Shakunya Medal Gold for long and meritorious service in the field of agriculture. Right, I always believe that you don't need to be a critic. You need to be a person to find the solution. And that was my mantra from way back in 1962 when we were independent, right? And I always believe that a nation that cannot feed itself is not independent. So hence I started to be part of the solution. I am in agriculture for over 60 years now. I'm still going. I took a day off from the field today. Right? Since I believe in food security, I look at the sources of carbohydrates. And the main sources of carbohydrates we have in Trinidad here is the sweet potato, the cassava, and the yams, right? And I started to do work on that. Now, when you cater for the eating habits of the young people, you need to give them attractive options, right? Because those are the biggest eater. So hence, you do the cassava, you look at varieties that don't pass, it cook good, quality. The sweet potato, you look at the same thing. Hence, I went ahead and I started to do the plant breeding. I have several varieties of new breeds of sweet potato now. I have the orange, several orange, the white skin, yellow flesh, white skin, orange flesh. I have I evaluated about 10 varieties of the purple skin, purple flesh sweet potato. I now come up with 2 new varieties of the white skin, purple flesh sweet potato. Now, one of the things that we had to look at when we're looking at food security is the sustainability, doing it all the time and you have it all the time. Now we have challenges now that we have the climate change. Now everybody complaining that we have climate change and what are we going to do about it? Well, for one thing we know we can't change the climate because the damage was done earlier. But what we can do is actually change the way we do things, right? So instead of complaining, I went down to the land, you choose the methods that you do the thing, you change the methods that you do your thing. The methods are your land prep, your choice of crops, based on your location. You're looking at your availability of water and all this sort of thing. Now, I went ahead and I do the land prep here because if you're doing sustainability, normally in Trinidad and Tobago, we only could do land prep, adequate land preparation during the dry season. But if you want to eat throughout the year, you have to be able to do it throughout the season, wet and dry. So hence I come up with the new methods of the land prep that where we use a wider bank that, it accommodates the tractor, wheel to wheel, the furrows are wheel to wheel, so you can still go in the wet season and prepare lands. With the conventional way that you used to do that, In the wet season, it was very difficult to do that. But now we are doing it, and it is working. Now with that, you can actually do 2 rows of sweet potato on a bank. You could do 1 row of cassava. But with the sweet potato, your fertilizer goes between the 2 rows on the bank. So when you get leaching, it leaches direct to the root of the sweet potato, where it is actually needed. In the conventional method, when you put it on the single bank, over 50% of the fertilizer, it leaches into the furrows where it is not really needed. So by that, I have proven that I cut my cost in fertilizer by 50%, because I have made optimum use of the amount of fertilizer that I put, right? Now, with that, and with the cassava and most other crops we introducing it now to, is that you can manage the amount of moisture in your soil. Now, with the height of the bag, which is 18 to 24 inches, if you get excessive rain, which is sometimes very excessive in Trinidad, you get the water going to the furrows, and just about 6 inches of water remain in the furrows. It drains off very quickly, right? And it do not send your plant into shock, right? So your sweet potato is a plant that if you send it into shock, it wouldn't tuberize, or it will tuberize inadequately, right? So when you do that, you control that. Now, in the case of harsh sun that you get sometimes, the mass of the bank, it holds the moisture. So it retains moisture, so your plant, again, is about managing stress in your plant. A plant is a living thing, and if you manage the stress, it will perform, right? So we do that. Right now, I'm working on a method where we're doing the yam, we're doing commercial production of yam, where we semi-mechanized. We are planting with the tractor, right? When I say semi-mechanized, we put the plants by hand, and we have these CDR ridges that we cover with the ridges at what we require to. And it do fine. And for the last 2 years, they do very good with us. And the zero trellis method now is one of the problems with yam is the pressure lasting in Trinidad, right? I don't know if it happened in the Caribbean. But in Trinidad, we have the pressure lasting. So when people see yam growing on trellis throughout the year, they check the time more than the farmer, and they're ready to harvest it. You understand? So there's one of the plus is that we do so, and we manage that, right? And we know earlier this year, we mechanically harvested yams, and it worked fine. So those are the things I've been sharing with the youth. I'm a member of the 4-H club in Trinidad and Tobago, where I go to the schools and I teach them all these new methods of what to do. I introduce the planting materials to them, and I share it with them, all the technology with the homemakers that we use, the container planting, we use the grow bag system and all this sort of thing. So people don't have an excuse not to grow food. So even though you live in a concrete jungle, you can still grow food. So that is my mission. My mission in life is to show the young people, look, listen, don't throw your hands in the air. I didn't throw my hands in the air. I lived through this, and I'm continuing, and I ask God to give me the health and strength to continue to empower these young people. As I say, I listen to the whole program today, and I look at the young people in the Caribbean. I spent 7 days in St. Vincent. I spent a few days in Antigua, but I couldn't go to Antigua because we had a storm at the time that I was up there.
We're out of time, Bundu.
Yeah, so once again, it's a pleasure, and Mr. Cheney St. Martin knows me very well, so if at any time I could be of any help, I am open. Thank you very much.
There it is, Mr. Bundu. So you all have any questions for Karu, Bundu, or
Morning. Good afternoon. I'm Killer Burnham from the CFBC. My question is directed to Mr. Bungo. What percentage of carbohydrate crops is lost after harvest due to inadequate storage, transportation, or processing infrastructure?
Sound. Sound. He's speaking, but we're not hearing him.
I don't think he heard the question properly. Can the question be repeated?
Did you hear the question, Bundu?
Yeah.
What percentage of carbohydrate crops is lost after harvest due to inadequate storage, transportation, or processing infrastructure?
I think that the mic is very low in the audience. If the moderator could repeat the question, but his mic is louder.
Let me know, are you hearing me?
Chani, it is very soft. The moderator's mic is the best mic to use for the online viewers.
I'm not hearing me. You're hearing me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. He's asking about the amount of carbohydrates that is lost during harvest. What percentage of carbohydrates?
Well, but the normal thing, you have to get losses with whatever handling. But we get in the harvesting and the post-harvest handling, we get about between 2 to 3% loss, which is tolerable.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Oh. To the same, Mr. Bundo, you spoke about like varieties of sweet potatoes. Like, I don't know if you would say inventing, how do you go about crossing and coming up with a new strain, you know, in a short version?
Interesting. Well, I was very enthusiastic. You see, what happened is that when I look at the original varieties of sweet potato, in Trinidad we had the popular chicken foot and O49 and all this sort of thing. But what happened, you know, I was a director in Trinidad and Tobago Agribusiness Association representing farmers where we were processing the sweet potato and all this sort of thing. So when I went down to the floor and I saw them peeling sweet potato, and the sweet potato was getting black, was oxidizing. And they had to put it in water and add chemical to prevent that from happening. I say, no, that's a no. I go to, because I try to focus on healthy eating. You can't say healthy eating and you have to put chemicals in it to prepare it, so it can be healthy. You understand? So then I started to work and to see, well, look, let's get something done. Now the hybridization is come through the flowering of the plant, right? You get plant that flowers, the flowers, there are seeds, you harvest the seeds, you grow the seeds, and you get plantlets. You get seedlings, then you put the seedlings in the field. It's a long process, but it's a tedious process, but I enjoy doing it. And it has been successful. In Trinidad, I bred the first variety of the purple flesh sweet potato by doing that. And now I have a lot of them in evaluation. Apparently, I have about 100 seedlings right now, set, right? So it is simple. It just any sweet potato that making seeds, you put them together, you harvest the seeds. The only thing about the seeds is the seedlings that they don't, they are unique. You don't get back through to form. If you want to get back through to form, you have to do the cuttings and you get holes. Right?
Any other questions?
Yes. Good day. Greetings.
Yeah, go ahead, okay.
Yeah, Gregory Bailey here, Director of Agriculture, Antigua and Barbuda. For the first presenter, I would like if you could elaborate a bit more on the use of the avocado pits in your work. And for the second presenter, I agree with the issue of waste and us not paying much attention to waste. And also the link between waste and food security, or insecurity, as you may look at it. One of the pillars of food security has to do with utilization. And I find a lot of time we neglect that pillar. We look at access, availability and access. But in my view, if the food doesn't reach your gut, you're still insecure. You have access, you have it in your fridge, you have it even on your plate, but you're not consuming it appropriately, meaning a lot of it going into the garbage. You're still food insecure. And for the third speaker, is the sweet potato weevil a challenge for you in Trinidad, and what are the methods of control that you use?
Yeah, the sweet potato, we had that problem in 2014, 2015, right? And that has, as a result of poor agricultural practices. We're supposed to have GAP, and farmers don't follow that. So one of the things to do, you have to put rigid GAP, right? But what we did in that time, we did the trapping, the mass trapping using the sweet potato, the Silas pheromone. We use the pheromone traps, where we use 2 traps to the acre for monitoring. And when you have based on your population, you use 10 traps to the acre. Now, we also use like the nimbecidin, and then we use the Bovaria-based fungus. And we use it for a while, and we have very, very good control. During the dry season, sometimes you get a little upsurge and things, but you have the same chemicals again. You use the neem-based chemical and the Bovaria, and we have it under control. Right? But the important thing is you see your cultural practices, collecting your planting material. The methods that you're going by everybody and pick up some planting material, you don't know what you'll pick up. Whatever plant you do, cassava, sweet potato, I advise all farmers, you have a nursery bed, that you have your nursery, and or if you don't have your nursery, you get from a registered nursery that you get your plants. But I advise farmers to always keep a nursery bed, and you pre-treat before 1 week before you harvest for plants. And if you go do with that practice, I don't see you going wrong. But this method about, you're going by this one and you take some plants and you go by that one, take some, that don't work. That is problem, right? So it all go to GAP, good agricultural practices, and that will help. And the other thing about it is you have to rotate your crop rotation. Not because you do a good crop of sweet potato, no, you want to go back and put again. You're inviting problems, right? So your crop rotation. So most of these things that I think and I just teach it to farmers and schools and whatnot, is that the good agricultural practices. That is so important, right? And it make it a profitable business by you doing that. You must do that.
Avocado pits, leave them to dry, and when they're drying, they get hard, they harden. It's boiled, and that's it. The color is a beautiful rose color, and it depends on how many pits you use, of course. So I'm just an experimental stage, so of course if you have more pits, you will have more intensity of color. I sometimes use baking soda or vinegar to get variation in the intensity of color as well. It's naturally fixed as well. I have not researched the science of that, like understanding what is actually in it, what natural chemical is in it, but those are the areas that I'd like to expose or explore in the innovation hubs. So thanks for asking that question. You could also use the skins of the avocado as well. So the avocado itself is a perfect example of a closed loop kind of idea. You can eat it. The skins can be used to make dyes, so can the pits, and then of course the remaining could be composted. So yeah, does that answer your question? No, you have to let it dry
right? So naturally in the sun, of course, I mean, if we get into scaling, we might have to use a dehydrator of some sort. But yeah, but you could grate the seed to eat it. I don't know if you know what I sprinkle. Yeah, right. So, sorry, it's a kind of rose color. You know, like a rose has a kind of pinkish, brownish. It's more in the pink. But of course, if you use more of the material, it would deepen. And if you use some vinegar, it will deepen as well. So, and that kind of process could be applied to many other plants, right, and fruit.
Love is everywhere.
Okay, Shan, you're up next.
Yeah, I think for me, it was more of a comment on his part, and reiterating what I was saying, in the sense that, you know, when we're talking about food security, we have to make the links between that and food loss and food waste, because they are different, because the loss happens at the beginning and waste happens at the end. So it was just to reiterate that, and I 1,000%
completed an intensive board identification course, and I'm very happy to meet the manager and owner of Tunisha and the coordinator of that board identification course, Mr. Nicanor Rikena, who tells us more.
Thank you very much, Val. So we had the opportunity to have Mr. Ronnie Martinez, the instructor.
I think that person's mic is not associated with us.
From the association. Guys from across many of the district's villages here in Toledo, and this was an intensive 3 days course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the field identification part of it was done here at Tunisha Reserve and Ecological Center in Katlandi.
You had any tour guide from any other district?
We had one tour guide that joined us, tour operator from Red Bank, and so we're fortunate to have had him join us as well.
What would be the way forward now for these 20 tour guides who are now board identification?
Well, we hope that they will use the tours to be able to build their capacity to start offering specialized tours for boarding. As you are aware, Toledo is one of the hotspots for boarding in the country, and we hope that they will be able to provide better services, better.
Well, I have a quick question for Ms. Dennis. Shelley, Ms. Denise, and Chad, Ms. Young, if you can still hear us as well. CCRAF Farms, coming from the Virgin Islands, coming from small islands. We are doing a lot of market research. And perhaps you can answer this question more in detail after this presentation, but quantity, capacity, do you have examples of what product delivery and cost would look like if we were trying to access the dye market or food waste markets? Do you have examples on would a dye ship, what's the market, who are the buyers, and how do we access that information?
Listen, what I do know is that there are many collectives globally which are run by small organizations with, small amount of people in the village or in a community that make dyes and that contribute to the sustainable fashion market. I think in this region we should look at how we can work together to build that out. When we talk about scalability, that to me, I have an issue with that because that is a shareholder primacy kind of way of thinking. It's about profit and it's about big people with money making money. I think we have to think about it on a community level, on a cooperative level, where we can share our resources, where we can create our own brand of dye or garment or an object that is made from what we produce here. So this is not new thinking. I'm just regurgitating some thinking that we've had since probably the 80s in the NAR era in Trinidad, where there were the cottage industries. A lot of investment went into that, and we were successful in creating brands from batik with natural dyes and wines and et cetera, et cetera. So I would think about it from that perspective. But in terms of the buyer's market, there are a lot of big retail outlets that in the US and in Europe that are looking for specific sustainable brands to support and to buy. There is some research available. I've done some of it. Can't share that here, but we can talk later if you like. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanara Busu-Ugbo. I'm also in the sustainable fashion business, but I'm more on the animal side, not the plant side. Meaning I do leather products from the waste. So I'm basically tapping into the byproduct of the meat industry. One of the things I wanted to find out is, and I think she asked the question as well, like how can we get in touch with some of the natural dyes, because I do hand painting as well on my leather. So if I can tap into that industry where the dye is actually natural, which is plant-based, I would like to implement it also in my brand. And the name of my brand is Level, and it is local, it is Kittitian, it's from St. Kitts. So if we can speak after, then I would get some information.
But just in case somebody else wanted to know your question about, amazing. So we've been talking about banana bark.
I heard of banana leather.
Is a great option.
Okay.
Banana barks exist already. It's not rocket science to make material. It really isn't.
Yeah.
We could look into that. There's stuff going on in the world with mushrooms.
I saw that as well.
Right?
Yeah. I saw pineapple. I saw cactus.
So
yeah.
All of that there. I would promote making our own dyes. It's not difficult. It's really just about if you wanted to stay on a small level and to produce quality, sustainable stuff, it's possible to do. We could talk.
Okay, sure. Oh, and one of the things, I also mix different mediums with my leather. So I do rattan, I do raffia, I do wood, and I do recycled t-shirt material as well. So I'm happy for this space.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, and I have products on the outside.
You could pivot easily with other materials because you're already doing it.
Okay, people, we at the end, and I guess it's lunchtime. Well, I'm more than guessing it is lunchtime. So especially for the youths, y'all could head out and just head down all the way down to the hall and go get some eats. So we give thanks. It was really a good experience. We hope, well, before you all go, y'all could even join me in this and saying that we would like Bundu, well, he's not on the screen, but if we could get Bundu to reach to St. Kitts to do a workshop with these sweet potatoes, we would really, really appreciate that, especially coming from Gideon Force Farm.
Right, and the contacts for all of the persons, you could get it through us. You could scan us, email us. So even Mr. Bundu's contact, Sean's contact as well. Denise is right here, and all of the persons I would have presented. Thank you very much.